There's not like any episode of that show that's like just thought provoking. It's also going to make you like not sleep at night.
Yeah.
Like
From what I
they're
heard,
too
yeah.
thought provoking. There was a really good one with
I hear Jesse Plemons is in one.
Josh Hartnett and someone else, and they're in space. They're like astronauts, and they're on like a mission for like 10 years. But there's a thing where they have like decoy like clone bodies at home that they can like transfer to subconscious so they can spend time with their families. And then like I think it's Josh Hartnett. It's Josh Hartnett and the guy from Breaking Bad, the kid.
Aaron Paul?
Aaron Paul. And I think it's, Aaron Paul has like a boring family. Josh Hartnett, like, madly in love with his wife. But then he gets like murdered. Him and his family get like murdered while he's down there subconsciously. So then he goes into like a depression for months. And so Aaron Paul's like, oh, you can like, do you want to like use my body to like, you can go to home and just like see the earth and then he starts like falling in love with like Aaron Paul's wife, and it's like this whole fucked
Holy
up.
shit.
It's super fucked up. That's the thing. Like they're all fucking super fucked up, and you watch them once because they're intriguing, and then you're like, I'm never watching this again.
Maybe I should give them a try.
You should, but just like do one at a time.
Yeah.
Do that, and then like watch Always Sunny. So Chris is actually not even here right now. He's on vacation, so we're actually filming this ahead of time. So this is like a Black Mirror episode.
This is like a Black Mirror.
You're not even really here.
I'm gonna come back. Yeah,
You're gonna come back, dude.
and
What if like
forget about it. So Black Mirror is like a modern day Twilight Zone?
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Before they rebooted it.
It's a
with Jordan
modern
Peele.
day Twilight Zone, but when I say more realistic, it's like it deals with like technologies that we don't have yet, but like are on the verge
right there.
of.
Yeah.
Whereas Twilight Zone was more like the guy with the Burgess Meredith with the glasses. Like the whole planet goes away and he's the last guy and he fucking breaks his glasses.
Yeah.
It's more just like obscure scenarios. Or my favorite one was the lady with the plastic surgery. Remember that one?
Yes.
Like you don't see anyone's face the entire time, and they're like, "She's so ugly. This is the last time we can do the plastic surgery." And then they unveil her at the end, and she's like beautiful, and it's like a planet of like pig people, and they all think that she's hideous, and so they have to like banish her.
Yeah.
It's just crazy scenarios. Black Mirror is like, what if somebody hacked into your life, or like did this, or what if you have like a memory chip and somebody hacked into it, or deleted something, or whatever. But yeah. Anyway. We're finally at like the end of 2024 related business. And what I mean by that is Halfwheel has come out past week with their top 25, but more importantly, not more importantly, their top 25 is very important. But the consensus, which is an amalgamation of all the major lists out there from different media and people, and kind of where did all the cigars rank. So kind of like how we made our top 25 list, but instead of doing it internally with 8 people, they did it like with all the different medias. So I wanted to go through that because I think I have to go. I wish they had a list of just like all their consensus number ones, because I feel like Dumbarton gets number 1 or 2 every single year. And this year was no different. The Umbagog Bronzeback, which was also our number 1, funny enough, was number 1 on the consensus. And then also, funny enough, the Sin Compromiso, I believe it's the Parejo number 4. It doesn't say here what size, but the Sin Compromiso got number 4, which it also did on our list. Actually, other than that, we don't have a ton of overlap. They have the Davidoff Grand Cru Diademas, Black Label Trading Company, Placencia, a couple of Aroma Crafts, Opus, of course, which is whatever. Don Carlos, 601 La Bamba, Atabay. They had the Las Calaveras, this year's version of the Las Calaveras. The Paustani Connecticut, which got a lot of ink this year.
Have you tried that one?
I have not.
Neither have I.
I have not. The Don Derma, which is, I would like to sit with Charlie at some point and be like, all right, like, what are your rules? Because
he has 4.
He has a weird thing where it's like we don't post we won't publish things about like a company's private labels just to you, with the small caveat of unless it's like we view it as significant to our readership. So since the 50th, they have not posted any of our press releases for like Mother Church or any of that stuff. But like the Don Derma, which is like a private label release that Saka does for somebody, like they'll review that.
Well, they have 4 cigars from Dunbarton on here.
Yeah.
And the Sober Mesa, what was
The
this?
Wagashi.
Yeah.
That's a regular
for
release
Dojo.
now, though.
Okay.
They made that regular release.
Did they? Okay. All right.
Yeah. I guess not a big year for Nick with them. Nick only has one that I see, the Tabernacle at number 23.
You got the Aganorsa Arsenio.
The Arsenio. I need to get into to Atabay and to Byron. I feel like I'm missing out on those. I know we don't sell them, but people who I trust have good opinions about the. Yeah, they're very expensive. Apparently, they're done in like a very certain way, like how they're fermented or something like that. But people I trust have told me that they're excellent. Like people put like I don't know. I wonder what. I wonder if he released a list of like the lists that he picked. Oh yeah, he does. Does he? I think he does. No, he doesn't show it here, but I'm interested. Oh, it's here. He has an Excel spreadsheet. I'll download it when I get down. When I get downstairs. But like to have Andalusian Bull on that, it's like no one like to have Andalusian Bull and Opus X. It's like the same thing we argue about with Cigar Aficionado.
Yeah.
And this, by the way, this is not a comment on Charlie. He's just taking the data. But to the reviewers out there, like Andalusian Bull, they make like 1,000 a year. Like no one ever really has them. Like it's a good cigar, but they're also like a really weird size. It's just not something I would ever put on like, except for like the year it came out where like made an impact. It's something I'd ever include like 10 years later on my like, oh, my best cigar of the year this year is like this LFD that they don't make a lot of and is in a very strange size. So again, everyone's gonna have different opinions on kind of how to handle their list, but I do find it interesting. Sorry, I do find it interesting that, like again, the consensus doesn't include everyone's list. Like oddly enough, it doesn't include ours. At least I don't think. I have to check to see who, because he usually doesn't include any retailers. But it's kind of for the past 5 or 6 years, it's kind of been unanimous from people who are reviewing cigars in this industry that Dunbarton is a top tier company.
I'm going back to, so the last 3 years has been Umbagog, Bronzeback, and then the Meat Carita Black went back to back.
Number ones?
Yep. Last year, number 1 and number 2 were Meat Carita Black, and then the Moisture de Saka Krakatoa.
Yeah. So again, and these are amalgamations of lists from all over the country, all over the world. So if you're asking the 99% of the cigar industry that reviews cigars, they're almost unanimously saying that like Dunbarton is one of the best out there. Like you need to pay attention to Dunbarton, like year after year after year. And again, I don't want to bring it back up. I don't want to make it that episode, but it's just humorous that they do that. And CA, I think, and I know they have some like weird arrangement, but how you call yourself like the preeminent list and like, you know, it's like if we'll I know we use this all the time, but we'll go back to Academy Awards. It's like if a director wins every single other award one year, but doesn't even get nominated for any Oscars. He wins all of the Golden Globes for Best Director, Best Screenplay, Best Picture. He wins all of the like indie awards or a BAFTA, like all this stuff, and then doesn't even get nominated for an Oscar. It just shows completely out of touch. So whatever arrangement you say you have with Steve, like maybe break that arrangement and start reviewing his stuff for your own
I would
sake.
Because the numbers speak for itself really quickly. 2019, the Sin Compromiso got number 2. In 2020, Mi Querida Tricky Traca.
What number?
Number 1. In 2021 was Sin Compromiso Paladin de Sacan at number 2. The Undercrown 10 beating that. So you're saying since 2019 they've been in the top 2, and then since every year, and then since 2020 they were number 1 4 out of the 5 times. You want to talk about? We'll talk about sports. that's a dynasty right there. Yeah. That is like the Lakers. That is Yankees. Like that is top level shit.
And
like,
I don't know
and that's
how
4 out of 5 years of the industry, the media and the industry saying like there's to me, and maybe we're biased because we are part of the media, part of it. There's no like what other qualifications would Dunbarton really need if like, oh, the past 4 or 5 years or 6 years, some of my cigars have been in the top 2 consensus. So I know Steve a little bit. He probably doesn't even know who I am, but I know like he cannot possibly give a shit about what CA thinks because when you see
because
that,
he dominates this other side of it. Like I said, everyone's like we're always up with Dunbarton. We're always selling more.
Yeah.
Like everything he makes, just sells really well. So I think like he's keeping his company small. He's like, I'm just gonna do this. Like I don't need the headache of that. But again, it's like you're making blockbuster after blockbuster and you're critically acclaimed, but like at some point, don't you want to win the Oscar? Just to have it on your even if it's towards the end, like it's at some point, don't you want to just have that one? Like I have everything else. I have every Golden Globe and Emmy and Screen Actors Guild and Cannes Film Festival. Like I have every other award.
Yeah.
But the Academy doesn't even nominate me. It's just aggravating, and I know it probably doesn't bother Steve. Like again, they have some kind of thing, but for just a cigar fan, I think it's just a damn shame. It really is. Now I'm not gonna do this now, but I would like to do some research on the 1, 2, 3, like the 4 or 5 consensuses that Halfwheel did before Dunbarton kind of dropped. And see if there was any other consistency of like what brands were always in the top 5 spot before that, because we really haven't seen. I mean, like Nick, I think also usually gets in like the top 5 of the consensus,
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we've seen anyone dominate like we have with Dunbarton. It's just not even close. Now let's go to Halfwheel's actual top 25. Their cigar of the year was the La Mastranza from Roma Craft, which was very good. I hate how they have this one like a view of all of them. They also had the Sin Compromiso.
Yep.
They also had Las Calaveras. They also had the Plasencia. Much like us, they had the Cro-Magnon Broadleaf, and they had the Crux, and they had the Winston Churchill Late Hour Petite Panatella. So we had like 3 similar ones. But pretty diverse. This AJ 20th, I gotta try it. I haven't tried it yet. Everyone's saying it's amazing. I just haven't got my hands on one yet. We gotta order it. I think we're selling it. But yeah, yet again, I think Halfwheel, along with like Dojo, the differences between Halfwheel and Dojo in terms of their top 25 is Halfwheel obviously sticks to like, hey, these are what actually like rated the best. But like I said, there's a lot of brands on Dojo's list that I've never maybe I've heard of, or they're like obscure like one-offs. Like they like doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Halfwheel's a little more like these might be like limited, but they're like limited from big vendors, like the Fuente Padron collab or like a limited Davidoff. But they're like bigger. Like you've seen one of these in a store somewhere, most likely. Whereas some of the ones on Dojo, I could probably go to 2 or 3 brick and mortars and like not find some of those brands. But that's like their prerogative. They are the nerd's nerd.
Yeah.
But big fan of how Halfwheel has, like I said, I think the consensus, whether you agree with it or not, there really is no agreeing with it, I think, or not agreeing with it. I just think
those are numbers. Those are facts.
Yeah, it's a numbers game. I very much think it's one of the smartest things to do. And it's really, listen, they're doing data for us. They're putting together analytics for us, and I think it's a good way for retailers, if you're paying attention to the consensus, to be like, listen, they don't include retail lists on the consensus. This is all media and like private reviewers and stuff like that. So if they're all voting for like these certain brands, good idea to probably buy some more of these brands.
Yeah.
Maybe not as much as. See, listen. I think where the consensus and CA differ is when the CA list comes out and somebody hits something number one. Retailers might not like that cigar, but they're going to go and buy it because they know that people are going to see that, and they're going to just need to have it in stock, or something that they already have in stock. They just need to increase their quantity. Whereas the Halfwheel consensus, I think that's a good way for retailers to kind of get ahead of the game and be like, this is what everyone in the industry who like knows cigars is saying is the best. It might be a good idea to invest into these brands. You're probably not going to buy as much, but it's not well, we're going to buy 1,000 boxes right now because there's going to be this rush for the next 2 months, and then once it sells out, we're never going to buy it again. I think it's more of this is a brand we should invest in and market a little bit because it's just, again, it's internally critically acclaimed. But internally, I mean, there's plenty of guys who are probably contributed to this list that are not like, Coop and Dojo. They're just like a guy who puts out a list. And so he's more of a consumer than he is like an industry member. So it's important to know what he thinks.
Yeah.
We can be isolated in our little kind of like cigar bubble. Just like if I'm getting into craft beer and I talk to a craft beer guy and he's like, oh, you need to try this small brewery on the outside of like Oklahoma. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I need something I can go buy at like Bob's.
Yeah.
Like, or Joey Canal's discount liquor. So I understand we could be in a bubble, but I would be curious if like a beer magazine did something like this. Take like the 50 like biggest beer rankings of this year and made a consensus. And I wonder if those number 1s and 2s and 3s would be super small, obscure brands that like you can't only really get in like one state, or if they would be more along the lines of like a Dogfish Head or something like that, something like a little more well known, a little more available. Dunbartons are widely available. Like Dunbarton is not a one-off that like only cigar nerd. Like every major retailer carries all of their lines. And any brick and mortar store that doesn't carry them, it's either because they have some kind of beef or they got in too late. And Steve's like, I have retailers that have been with me since day one that I need to get inventory to, and I don't have enough inventory to like bring you in. But I would be shocked if I went into not a convenience store, but like an actual brick and mortar cigar store that has like a walk-in humidor, and they didn't have at least 2 or 3 lines of Dunbarton on their shelves. I'd be shocked.
Yeah, they're gonna probably have the
Umbagog, Mi Querida,
Sober Mesa, maybe.
Probably Sober Mesa. Like I would be probably like guaranteed ones.
Yeah.
The Moisture de Saka are a little more limited, and he probably kind of like saves those for his bigger retail partners. Yeah. Not just like e-com, but like even his bigger brick and mortar retailers. Something like Mi Querida Black is probably like a little harder to come by. His like unicorns are really find those. But I would say, Mi Querida, Umbagog, and Sober Mesa are probably on. I mean, I'd actually have to ask Steve and Dave. I'd be curious, but I would say probably 75% of brick and mortar shelves. I mean, it would have to be.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I would be shocked if it was any less than that. If it was like only 60%, I would be shocked. That would be a strategic move from Steve to like want to limit who he has to deal with, and not like people like he's. I feel like Crown Heads, Tatuaje, Foundation, and Dunbarton, in the cigar industry, their names are probably as respected as Altadis, General, Oliva. The regular public, people who are just going into stores and just buying cigars for whatever, the masses might not know. But I would say in this industry, they are as respected, if not more respected. A new Monte Cristo comes out, a new Tatuaje comes out. I think cigar people in the industry are like equally excited.
Yeah.
And that's saying a lot from like these are small companies compared. I mean, like Dunbarton has like 4 people. Like it's like I think it's like Steve, Dave, and then like 2 or 3 other I think Steve's son. Like there's a couple people.
It's the common theme with all the 4 you just mentioned.
Yeah.
It's very small teams.
Yeah.
Maybe I wouldn't even think that they exceed 10 people. And that says a lot.
Yeah, no, I don't know if Dunbarton will use brokers to kind of like help sell their stuff. I know Foundation will, like Caldwell will. I don't know if Steve uses brokers or not, or if he just has Dave driving all around the country.
Yeah, probably.
But no, I think that congratulations to Dunbarton for all the excellent feedback and everything, and we're glad to be one of your retail partners and always happy to work with you. But I think that it's pretty much like said now that like they're the chiefs of like the cigar industry. Like
I
that's
mean, you go and they have a list of all the consensus on their website from 2011 until now. So you can go back and look and see. But man, I think I went back into like 2017, 2018. Like they had the, I think they had the Meek Rita on one of those lists as well. Like they go back and they just have so many, like they're just in the top 2, top 3 for 6, 7 years. Like that. Just,
yeah, dude. And there's
that
nothing
just
like
says
listen,
something, man.
they're not paying for advertising. They're not
Yeah.
like, you know, it's not like Steve sends me just like, you know, a box a month to like keep me happy. Like he just makes a good product. And they're also easy to deal with. I will say that does play into it. They're easy to work with in terms of like getting products, sending POs. Dave's very responsive. There are companies out there that make great cigars, but just like are a nightmare to deal with, and you'd end up not getting what you ordered. Dunbarton is you get, you know, exactly what you ordered, and if he runs out of it, he'll send it to you on the next shipment. Like they always respond. It's just I mean, same thing with Crown Head, same thing with Foundation. They just run small, tight, efficient teams, and I notice that sometimes with the bigger companies, things can get like lost in the weeds a little bit more. So, but yeah, congratulations to Dunbarton. Thank you for Halfwheel for doing this. I think the consensus is just such a great great piece every year that puts a nice little, you know, dot on the end of the kind of, you know, the December to January review season.
In the past few years, I feel like you and I have been really looking forward to seeing, like, all right, how did we match up with the consensus?
Yeah.
And this year we got 2 in the top 5 and they were the same exact numbers. So that makes you feel like, and everyone else who helped us with our list here at JR should make us feel like, all right, like we're doing the research, we're doing the work. Like we know what we're talking about. I don't want to say it's like a stamp of approval or any type of validation, but it's like, I remember last year we did it. I was like, oh, well, for the first time I was like, all right, so maybe I know like where these rankings go, or like, you know, my thoughts are the same as the consensus. It makes you feel kind of good.
Yeah. It feels good to get like a couple.
Yeah.
If we were too on the nose, that I don't like that, because that's like too
That
much.
means-
Like we're all following the same kind of like script of like, oh, we all need to like this one, we all need to like this one. But when it's like it's still varied enough, like we also, like I said, we had a lot in common with like Halfwheel's own top 25.
Yeah.
You know, like the Petite Panatella late hour, like no one else really had that. You know, like, so it's interesting. The ones that you kind of match up with other companies, and it's like, cool, we're kind of in line on this. But the fact that like the past 2 or 3 years we've gotten like something in the consensus top 3, even though they're not including our list in this, says like we're, you know, like we are, you know, our palates are in touch with the palates of the rest of the industry.
I think you do make a good point too about, I keep thinking about since you said it, how Saka would, you know, getting the CA, getting top cigar at CA or just on the list, that would be his like final, like,
yeah,
you know,
like maybe
like
like the
Oscar
last,
kinda
maybe
thing.
if he's gonna retire 1 year, maybe like the year before that, he just goes to the guys and he's like, just review my stuff, you know, like just let me know what you think of it.
Yeah.
And then we just see. I mean, to be honest, it'd probably still not rank him just out of spite.
Probably.
But I'd also be very curious when current leadership at CA like retires or moves on. Like, what's that magazine going to look like? Are the younger guys going to step up and be like, all right, we need to kind of be more in touch, or are they just going to keep it on?
Yeah.
But for more information on how we feel about CA's list, make sure to check out our episode from 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
Always a fan favorite. But that's all I got for today. I can't taste cigars. I'm still all congested and stuff.
Oh, no.
Like this weather's killing me.
Yeah, this weather's crazy.
It was 7 degrees this morning, and like just dry.
Yep.
Like everywhere's just like pumping fucking hot air into rooms. I just hate it. I hate it so much.
Yeah, I look like Ashley Larry from Chappelle's Show.
Yeah, I have a
just-
humidifier in my room. It doesn't do anything. I still wake up like I was just like laying in a desert somewhere,
Yeah.
but I'm freezing.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm never cold. I'm never cold. And I even went to bed with a hoodie, and I was just like, what is happening? I can't do this 6-degree weather shit. Because it never really gets this cold around here.
No, this is unusual.
Yeah. It
It
gets
usually-
like 20 degrees.
Yeah, we'll
maybe the
have-
teens at night.
We'll have a couple of weeks throughout the winter of like, a low of 25, and then it'll be like
Yeah.
36 during
But the
the
high
day.
today is like 22.
Yeah, yesterday I think the high was like 18.
Yeah, and it's snowing in Louisiana.
Yeah,
It's snowing in Florida. Like,
yeah, and and Nashville. Like
yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy. But
So-
hopefully we'll make it through. I would just love, give me a 1-day break of like just a 50-degree day. At least give me that.
yeah.
Just give me that.
A taste of spring would be nice.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna, what's gonna happen? But sometime in March, we're gonna have like a week of like 58 to like 62, and then the next week it's gonna be 40.
40, and then
Like,
we're all going to
we
get
have
sick.
fake,
and-
just like we
yep.
get fake fall, we got fake spring.
Yeah.
But thank you everyone very much for watching. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. And as always, keep it lit.